All right! I love the future!
Okay, so, right, so fucking welcome, bro.
Thanks for having me.
This
It's
is
a
finally
pleasure.
happening, I know, it's great.
It's so weird. This is the first time I've ever done this.
Yeah, oh man, we're like, first time too, actually.
Okay,
And,
wow.
yeah.
What an honor.
Me too, man. Really, really awesome. And like, I've actually we can finally fucking talk because like I've been busting since the moment you walked in. Like everything you've said, I'm just like, yo, just don't say anything. Don't say anything. Like keep with the thing.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's still like we've still said so many things, but now I feel like free. Like
Cool.
here we are. We've landed. We're present. And it's actually cool that like Bianca's online because that was like I was thinking about like. The first time I saw you, and then the kind of like second time I met you. I'll share the first time, later on. Hey Joseph, sup, bro?
Your head's been replaced.
You're right. Oh, cool. Are we
It just fucking disconnected. So
No, not
Okay.
the disconnection.
All right. I'll save my story.
just the audio. It's fine.
All right, I'm gonna
Okay.
get into this.
Well, that's the audio going to the live feed
Cheers.
though. That's the only thing. So
Ooh.
No, it's not.
yeah. Oh, it's not. Oh,
I hope
okay.
not.
All right. Well, fuck. Well, I'll tell you the story anyway, bro.
Yeah, man.
I remember you at Bianca's house. Like, I just remember the first time that I saw you outside of like a festival or whatever, like, real person. You were like climbing her orange trees or something, like cutting down. You remember in the backyard?
Yeah.
And I was like, because I didn't know that you were into fruit trees and stuff like that. That was kind of like my first.
I'm obsessed, dude. Like, horticulture is my major. I studied food forestry, which is ecosystem-based food and resource production.
Right.
Basically,
That's what you studied?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, taking the principles that underlie
Thanks,
ecosystems, so infallible laws of nature,
Yeah.
and applying them to food and resource production. Like, why not?
Right.
Why do we have this monocultural agriculture system that requires so much input? Like, monocultural agriculture requires maintenance, constant maintenance.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas ecosystem-based food and resource production requires management. You're rather guiding the system rather than controlling it. Because nature has its own ideas and you're never going to defeat nature. Like, it's always going to win. So you might as well roll with the flow rather than swimming against the current.
And like, so like it's about harnessing or like being in touch with what nature actually wants to do.
Yeah.
And then supporting that rather than like fucking forcing it into your little box where it like has to, conform to your rules and your timelines and your everything,
That's
like,
it.
amazing. Okay. I'm still trying to like bang out some sort of introduction.
Yeah.
So
I was up in a orange tree, like pruning off all the branches because it was like real big and leggy, and it was like because when they get too tall, it becomes the cost of pumping nutrients against gravity outweighs the nutrients generated.
I remember you telling me this actually. Yeah.
So like if you cut the limb so that it's got a lower center, then it lowers the cost of pumping nutrients against gravity.
Yeah, totally. I did that with my dad's avocado tree. This thing is like huge, like he's got a pretty like big house, and it goes even higher than the roof. Massive, must be like almost 10 meters, and just never gave any avocados.
Wow.
Like anything. And we thought because there weren't maybe any avocados in the area or something that it wasn't like pollinating.
Well, how old was it?
Old, man, like
because they take about
more than
9
15
years.
Yeah,
wow,
no, it's old tree, and that's why we were like, what the hell? So we trimmed the whole thing down.
Yeah.
I actually got the idea from my next door neighbor who had this huge mulberry bush.
Oh, mulberry
tree, right? And he cut the whole thing down to like a stump.
Yep.
And probably thought it was going to die, but it just sent off like 50 like side branches.
It's called
from the
copper
stump. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So it's mulberry is a suckering shrub or low tree, and if you top it, then it just like it goes nuts.
Well, so it sent off like 50 side branches all up, and the whole thing was like so full of mulberries.
Yeah.
Like if the dude cut it down because it was making a mess before, like it was
making a hell of a lot more mess.
It was giving like a lot of fruit after that.
Well,
so.
you got to think about like how big the root system is when you do something like that to a tree of that size. Like it's got a fully established full tree root system, and then you cut it down to ground level, you've completely lowered the cost of pumping nutrients against gravity.
But
so
it's still got all those
it's got this
tunnels and
massive
everything.
root system and
yeah.
huge access to minerals and nutrients. and that's why it puts up so many shoots. You know, like if you cut a pine tree at the base, it would just die because it doesn't have the same.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
so certain trees, if you cut them, they're gone. It's
Well,
like
pines come from a group of plants called gymnosperms. They're like one of the oldest plant groups.
Right.
It goes gymnosperms, and they have this they have a different vascular system, and like if you cut a branch off, it won't regrow.
buzzy.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've done
They just
like
work differently.
basic plant biology.
Okay,
but then you got angiosperms. So you got gymnosperms. Angiosperms came after gymnosperms. Within angiosperm, there's two different groups. There's dicots and monocots.
Right.
So monocots came before dicots. So grasses are monocotyledonous. Basically, they have like one little solar panel that comes out of the seed, and it grows like a fibrous root system. Whereas dicots, they form like two little solar panels, and they have like
Yeah, I remember
kind of
this from like
broad
grade
leaves.
school, but
Yeah.
like baby shit. Like I remember when we just put the bean in the in the cotton wool and like, ooh, dicotyledonous. Yeah.
There you go.
get to like sprout it and stuff, but I never turned it into a big tree. Like
Yeah.
I actually checked how it works. Yeah.
I mean, so like not all plants are vegetative, but like things like mulberry are extremely vegetative, and they'll often even put up like suckers from like 10 meters away, you know?
Really?
Because their roots will run.
I did
and
not
then
know
like
that.
it'll stick up a new shoot like and form a whole new tree, but it's
Wow.
part of the same organism.
There is so much happening like literally beneath the surface
Yeah,
that
I mean,
we
like,
can't see, you know?
Pretty much all ecosystems do this. I was reading an article about root grafting. And so I've seen root grafting.
Root grafting?
Root grafting.
Okay, what is that?
So where the roots of trees grow into one another and they form like, even though they're two separate genetic individuals, they'll grow their roots into one another. And pine forests do this. Well, I was going down the west coast last year, and I mean like the tides are going fucking crazy these days. They're coming like way up the beaches and washing them out. And then there was this like stand of pine trees. There must have been like 5 or 6 trees like really close together. And they'd been chopped down, but the ocean had eventually like come up and washed the underside of
Right.
the roots out.
Yeah.
And these trees, they were like literally this far apart, and you can see the roots just grow straight into one another. There's no like, it's just like,
So
It
what's
becomes
the
two trees.
benefit? What's the benefit for the trees? Like
well,
why are
they
they doing
resource
that?
share.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
And so like,
Wow. Community.
yeah, this is how like, because like adult trees feed their young. So like there was an experiment they did to find out how these like young saplings are able to grow in pretty much completely low
They're
light,
tapping into the
low light
parents.
conditions, you know. And what happens is like either through the
Wow.
mycorrhizal network or through even root grafting, probably more likely root grafting as well. The adult tree feeds nutrients to the young. What they did was they stuck a bag around
That's
a
cheating.
branch.
That's amazing.
Cheating, it's cheating. No, but come on, like think about our parents. They feed us. You
Yeah,
know?
no. I mean, I think it's amazing. Like,
Did you say that's genius or that's cheating?
I said it's cheating. No, only because like pine trees are known to kind of like destroy forests. Like as
Well,
an
they,
example,
they,
you know?
they use allelopathy to create, so allelopathic chemical warfare. Plants produce compounds that suppress other plant species.
Yeah.
You know, and so by dropping their pine needles,
Pine
they
needles
create,
everywhere, yeah.
an environment that is more hospitable to their own kind.
Yeah.
Grass does this as well.
Yeah.
It forms
Kikuyu is crazy.
monoculture.
Yeah.
Yeah, kikuyu is nuts,
Crazy,
dude.
bro.
It's
Yeah,
I hate kikuyu,
It's insane,
man.
eh? And it's
Oh
basically
my
you can
God.
actually literally just like cut off a piece of kikuyu and
Yeah,
just
stick it somewhere else.
anywhere.
and it'll go-
Yeah.
It's like a hydra.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing, dude.
And so what they did is they took carbon-14
Yeah.
and they made carbon dioxide. And they pumped it into this bag. So the tree breathes in carbon dioxide. It uses photosynthesis to create hydrocarbons or plant sugars. And then from my research, when I was studying food forestry, I found that more than 60% of photosynthetic compounds get dumped into the soil as root exudes. Why? To encourage certain types of bacteria and other microbes at certain times of year that eat those photosynthates, the sugars,
Yeah.
and they leave behind certain kinds of waste like phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen. You know, phosphorus and potassium are really important for flowering fruiting.
That's
Whereas
incredible.
nitrogen is extremely important for shoot growth. But also, what I've found is that the mycorrhizal network has been shown to hoard nitrogen at certain times of year.
Okay, wait. What's the mycorrhizal network?
Okay, so There are 3 different main groups of fungi. You got parasitic, so
Cordyceps.
cordyceps,
All that, yeah.
fungi that eat live organisms. Say, athlete's foot is a fungal parasite. Cordyceps is an insect parasite. Trichoderma is a fungal parasite. It's a fungus that eats other fungus. And so then you've got saprophytic, which is mushrooms that eat dead stuff. So like wood debris, dry grass, compost, stuff like that. And then you have mycorrhizal, which is it's a type of fungus that has an obligate symbiosis with a plant. And so like it's easier to list the number of species that don't have mycorrhizal associations. Because like 90% of plants do have obligate mycorrhizal associations.
Wow,
So
okay.
mycorrhiza means in Latin, myco means fungus and rhiza means roots. Fungus roots.
Fuzzy. And this is actually like connecting up a network of like trees and plants and everything.
Yeah,
like
it connects the whole ecosystem.
Wow.
It's like the internet of the underworld.
Yeah, I have heard about this before. So like, but
The
you
Wood
kind of-
Wide Web.
nice, right? So but kind of what you were saying before was that certain plants attract certain mycorrhizal.
Well, yeah, actually, like they do have what I would call ephemeral.
Yeah, like families or-
mycorrhizal associations.
Right.
So like seasonally they will have associations with different types of fungus even. And they don't just associate with one type of fungus, they associate with many different types of fungus.
Right.
And so what these fungi do is they act as the plant's stomach. So plant roots can't really grow that fast. They have very limited capacity to absorb minerals. They basically absorb them latently through like water-soluble minerals. But most of the minerals that plants need are not water-soluble.
And the mycorrhizal is actually doing that work for them.
Yeah, and so the fungus, what it
Wow.
does is it can grow 10 times faster than plant roots.
Yeah.
And it has the ability to enzymatically mine minerals or nutrients. It captures these nutrients, and it actually also releases water from wood debris. Like, it converts
That's
the
incredible.
hydrocarbons into carbohydrate fungal sugars, and then it creates CO2 and H2O from the hydrocarbons.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
man.
and then it can
That
like
is so
carry
incredible.
water around the ecosystem,
Wow.
pipe it to where it's needed. It carries it with it as it grows, so it has moisture.
Fuck, man, we can learn
crazy.
so much. We could learn so
Yeah,
much
yeah,
from
yeah.
that kind of like relationship because
Absolutely.
like human beings don't function like that. Like we wouldn't
No.
go out and like give like something to someone
Yeah,
knowing
just
that
for funsies.
just to,
Yeah,
just to
like-
support them because
Exactly.
they know it's going to like feed back into the whole ecosystem. You know,
I mean,
like
if
I mean, some people are doing that. Like I think times are changing, but
Yeah, I
I mean, it's
hope the
definitely
times are
something
changing.
we can learn from.
if we looked at humans objectively as say we were a different species that had the same kind of intellect as human beings. Basically, any other organism that did what we do, we would call a parasite.
Absolutely, yeah. No doubt
we
about
shit
it.
in our own backyard.
We are a very, very good parasite, actually.
about-
We're more like a cancer than a parasite, actually.
But cancer is a parasite.
I guess so.
like my belief, and I don't have anything to back this up, but from my observation, my knowledge about fungus, cancer works like a fungus. And if you change the body apparently to an alkaline environment, cancer can't grow. Like, I mean, like in forests, the soil is mainly alkaline, and fungi outnumber bacteria 100,000 to 1, or something like that. Whereas in a grassy
Wow.
environment, bacteria outnumber fungi 10,000 to 1.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so that's the
But
difference.
they're also like a part of the ecosystem. Like, I mean, I was just
Yeah.
learning about my digestion, and like,
Yep.
there's more DNA in my stomach
Yeah.
than there is in the rest of my body.
And it's
like
not even
4
your- it's
times or
not
10
even your
times
DNA.
more. No, it's not. It's all the bacteria and
Yeah.
everything else. Like, there's like this whole universe inside me, And I'm wondering if I should be like feeding that universe.
Absolutely.
In the way that like the trees are feeding their fungal like friends. I mean, that's it. Like, that's so amazing.
All right! I love the future!